And good evening, everyone. It's December the 18th. It is the season of love, and we got it up here this afternoon. Welcome to the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners meeting for December the 18th, 2023. We will have our invocation and our pledge by Commissioner Veronica Jones.
Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for allowing. Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for allowing us to gather here today. We ask for peace and harmony and that we will make decisions that will better our community with love and unity. We ask for prayer for those that are at war overseas and even here in the United States. We ask for prayer for our armed forces, and we also ask for those that are serving us in the hospitals, our doctors, our lawyers, our nurses, and all our EMTs. God, we thank you for this day, and during this holiday season, we ask that each and every one in here and their families have a blessed holiday. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was funny because Mr. Keefe and I can both button our jackets now.
Yes, sir.
6 months ago, I don't know if that was able to do. We did receive.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
I tell you what they laughed. We did receive notice from Commissioner Stewart that she would not be available tonight. Commissioner Booth is on his way, unless we finish early, because his granddaughter has an event. Now, we do understand getting to those grandchildren. So with that, we will go to our public comment period, and I would ask the manager to read our public comment policy, and you will see, thank you to Assistant Manager Brian Haney. We now have that available. That's Commissioner Booth. Have that available. We're going to have it on the screen so that people can read it as he's doing it, because sometimes we couldn't really understand. It's a lot of words and stuff, so I think this helps a lot, much better.
The public comment policy. The public comment period shall last no longer than 15 minutes. Time may be extended at the discretion of the board. Each speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make remarks until the 15-minute limit is attained. No time may be yielded by a speaker to another speaker. Speakers will be acknowledged by the board in the order in which their names appear upon the sign-up sheet. Speakers will address the board from the lectern and begin their remarks by stating their name and address. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers will not discuss matters regarding the candidacy of any person seeking public office. Speakers will be courteous in their language and presentation. Personal attacks will not be tolerated, and written comments and/or supporting documents may be left to the clerk to the board.
Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed up for our public comment period?
We have 3 speakers.
If you recall the first speaker.
Darlene Caridi.
Ms. Caridi. Oh,
It's actually Caride, but that's better Cartwright.
if you pull that mic down just a little bit. Yes, ma'am, so we can
I'm
hear
not
you.
tall.
That's quite all right.
Hi, my name is Darlene Caridi. I live at 116 Skipper Rock Lane in Hope Mills, North Carolina. I'm here tonight because I was one of the victims of, I should say victim, but one of the ones in the Florence and Matthew situation with the grants from NC Rebuild. Everything was completed paperwork-wise and with NC Rebuild in '22. And my contractor called me and stated he was hired to do the home. I'm having a built-a-home, not a trailer. And therefore, there's other rules and regulations that cover this, and that includes environmental. And my new home, I was told by the contractor in May of '22. So I started packing the things in my house, and he called me 2.5 months later, and he said that Cumberland County Environment is going to be coming out to do the septic tank inspection. Well, 6 weeks late went, and then now 16 months has gone, and I'm still waiting on the septic tank inspection for environmental people to come over and do this. I don't understand what the holdup is. I'm still waiting, and so is the contractor. He's ready to go when everything is passed. I just wanted to know, or to put forward, what and why is Cumberland County doing to be so far behind in all this thing? I'm sure I'm not the only one that has an NC rebuild thing that's being done, and yet I'm still sitting there. I'm living in a condemned house, and I'm paying taxes on it. And I don't mind that because I'm not going to leave my home. My husband has died. My sister's husband has died. My sister's an invalid. She's home there with me. I take care of her. And I have my grandson that lives with me. And another grandson that comes and goes because he's military. And so I'm at a dilemma here. And I just wanted to put it forward to say, what can you guys maybe do to start pushing things on that? Especially in the Hope Mills area. I don't know, it's probably all of Cumberland County. I don't know.
Yes, ma'am. And that's fine. I think Ms. Skeens is going to talk to you as you walk out that door. We do have a problem with environmental, not just ours, statewide, but she's going to talk to you.
Meaning the lady in the green?
The lady in the green.
Got it.
Yes, ma'am. See how easy that was?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. And our next speaker,
Pamela Carter.
Pamela Carter. All right, our next speaker,
Joseph Wheeler.
Mr. Wheeler.
Good evening, City Council.
Good evening.
My name is Joseph Wheeler. I am currently part of the unhoused population. I run the Homeless Assembly, in case you're not familiar with who I am. Tonight, I'd like to speak to you about White Flag. White Flag is something the county is doing a fairly decent job at. However, last August, I believe, True Vine was given a $100,000 grant from the county to also host White Flag. Currently, Salvation Army is taking up the brunt of White Flag. True Vine is not open all the time. The temperature drops below 31 degrees. And if I might add, like yesterday when we had all those rains, that would have been a great opportunity for a White Flag to be in place, because several of the unhoused who live in tents in the woods and whatever were flooded out. So having a sheltered place to go when the weather is not only 31 degrees or below, but when the weather is also experiencing great inclement issues, it would be very helpful to have a White Flag situation in place. Now, I don't know if that's a HUD guaranteed thing or if it's a state ordered thing. I do know the 31 degree standard. This week, Salvation Army is doing White Flag tonight all the way through. True Vine is not. They're only doing it when they feel like they want to do it. And most of the unhoused members in our community take advantage of True Vine, as they offer a dinner and they also offer a breakfast, which comes in handy, especially since they're up on Morganton Road and they don't quite have the opportunity in the mornings, especially, to get down to Inasmuch for breakfast before that stops, as they let them out at 7. So depending on how many vans they have going to and from, that could be a challenge for getting breakfast, especially when it's cold outside. But like I said, the Salvation Army is doing a great job. However, they have two spaces, I'm sure if you're aware, they have two spaces where they do White Flag. One is in their main dining room, and they take overflow off to the side. Now, if a family comes in and they have children, they have to keep them separate from other residents due to criminal, and they don't do background checks and items of that nature. Their White Flag is supposed to be open for anybody at any time when the weather gets 31 or below in the inclement weather situation. So while I do understand that, the other night, about 10 people were turned away from White Flag because there was a family over here and they had about 30 beds inside. So their capacity is 40 to 45 beds in Salvation Army. There was no True Vine happening that night. So people were left out in the cold, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you.
And have a great Christmas.
All right. Thank you. That will conclude our public comment period. I would like to recognize the new CEO of Distinctly Fayetteville from the CVB, Mr. Heath. He just joined us and was just our new CEO. So we're looking for some tourism. He's going to bring it here to Cumberland County. And Commissioner Keefe, I don't know if you want to say anything. You serve on that board.
Oh, yeah, we're very, very happy to have Devin with us. He comes with a lot of experience, not only in the tourism industry, but in the hotel industry. And we're looking for, he's promised some great things, so we're looking forward to Devin doing a great job and welcoming him to Cumberland County. Thank you, Devin.
Thank you for coming tonight. Look forward to meeting you, and I think everybody is. That will take us to the approval of the agenda. Mr. Manager, anything additional or changes to the agenda?
No changes to the
If I can
agenda,
get a
Chairman.
motion to approve the agenda?
I move.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous?
That's unanimous. That takes us to the presentation, the Library Community Navigator Update. Manager Greer.
Yes, we're going to put Faith Phillips, Library Director, will provide an update of our Community Navigator program and our new introduce our new Community Navigator.
Thank you. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, here we go. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
So thank you so much for having us here this evening to give you an update about our library's Community Navigator. The Community Navigator is a repurposed position within our public library system intended to expand how the library helps patrons access resources in our community. With me this evening is Ray Santini, who was recently hired into this role. Ray has education and experience in social work, as well as working with individuals who may be experiencing homelessness, others who may be in need in our community, as well as assisting veterans and job seekers in our community. So before going into more detail about the role of the Community Navigator in our library system, I'd like to share a little background about the need for the position. In 2019 and 2020, a community needs assessment was conducted for our library system. Some of the major takeaways were the need to continue to support members of our community who may need access and connection to resources beyond the scope of what our library staff are equipped to provide. Furthermore, since reopening after the pandemic, libraries across the state and the country are noticing an increasing number of community members in facilities who are experiencing a variety of factors. They could be homelessness, mental health, mental illness, substance abuse, food insecurity, and others. As such, many libraries have been hiring social workers or community navigators to assist these community members. There are several counties within North Carolina that have these positions on staff, including Randolph County, whose Community Navigator program was recently featured in a nationwide publication. To create the Community Navigator role within our library system, I evaluated the needs of our libraries and our communities, our existing positions and their roles, and I repurposed, so I did not ask for any extra positions, so I repurposed 2 positions to create this role. So next, I'd like to share a little bit about the purpose and the work of the Community Navigator position. First, this is a system-wide position. It'll be working with staff and customers at all 8 of our library locations. While Ray's home base will be our headquarters library, he has been spending time at all 8 locations. This position is not a typical 8 to 5 Monday through Friday position. The Community Navigator will be scheduling hours when needed to meet our community members where they are. The purpose of this position is to respond to the advanced information and access or connection needs of customers in our libraries who may be experiencing the several factors I mentioned before. This position will help navigate them to the right resources to meet their needs. So, for example, this past week, Ray was at Bordeaux Library. He connected with a family who was in need of food. He was able to talk with them, see what their needs were, and connect them with the right resource in the community to help address their food insecurity, and that happened just this week. Another facet of this role is to assist staff with de-escalation and to help facilitate or coordinate training for staff as they work to serve our community members. We will be partnering with the Department of Health during the month of January to provide overdose recognition and Narcan training opportunities for library staff. The Community Navigator will also be working with other departments and agencies to create partnerships to improve access to resources. Partnerships will allow the Navigator to have as much information as possible so that he can connect community members with the resource that best meets their needs. In the future, we hope to implement standing office hours at regular intervals at all of our library locations so that all community members can come and connect with our community navigator for their advanced information and resource needs. We will continue to work with other agencies to improve our partnerships and training opportunities for staff, and we hope to implement a series of similar educational opportunities for our community members. We will work to continually assess the work of the navigator, and we will provide updates to you all throughout the work. So we are really excited for this opportunity to continue to serve the evolving information and access needs of our community members, and we appreciate your time tonight. We are here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
If I can just have 1 minute, I met him at the Jingle Mingle. So if you just want to introduce yourself, tell it very shortly a little bit about that background, because I thought it was in terms of the things you were talking about.
Right. So I'm Ray Santini. I graduated Fayetteville State with a BSW. My experience has been here in Cumberland County, out on the streets. So servicing folks is not a problem for me. Connecting them, reaching out to other resources, organizations, agencies. There are some newer faces, and gaining their trust is going to be some work that I've got to get done.
I think you said you were out on the street.
Yes, sir. I helped build outreach programs, street outreach programs, and so going through the woods, talking with people, connecting them to resources.
And this is in conjunction with Alliance to Health. They're going to be coming on board. I think I got Commissioner Booth and then Commissioner Jones.
It's Commissioner Keith.
I mean, Commissioner Keith, I'm sorry.
Hey,
And then Commissioner Jones.
I think this is very admirable, but Commissioner Booth reaffirmed me that we have 11 different agencies throughout the county that are working with the homeless population, and it seems to be fixed on the homeless population here. Are we working with 11 different silos here? Because it doesn't seem like there's that much communication going on, Faith. And my question is, with 11 agencies focused on homelessness, and now that the library system coming in and doing this, are we getting away from our core mission of libraries in Cumberland County? Because you say you're at all 8 libraries. Mm-hmm. And what does it say about the other 11 agencies that aren't doing this?
So that's a really great question. And so
I tried to make it as
that's a great question.
Whatever.
That's a great question. And so the way that I see it and the way that I would encourage other people to view it is that it's a different level of access to information, right? As a library, we are there to connect people to resources. And so we've had people in the community who are there who may be experiencing homelessness, who may be food insecure, who internet connectivity, whatever it may be. And I need to know where I can sleep tonight and how to get there. And library staff, we can look up the information, but library-specific staff aren't trained to be like, okay, you can get this bus pass and you can do this, and I know Jane and this is the person. And so Ray goes that one step further where he can sit down and talk with somebody and connect them to the resource. So hopefully it's actually bridging gaps. That's our goal. Does that answer your question? Kind of, sort of?
It's a complex thing.
Commissioner Jones.
Welcome aboard, and also, you have a BS in social work. I know you said you did outreach and work out in the streets. Which agencies were you working with?
So I had helped the Salvation Army build out their street outreach program. Also, Cumberland Health Net. They had received funding, and so I was asked to help build that out as well. I believe they still have a street outreach program that's still functioning, and a housing navigator, although I think the housing navigator's grant will end in December.
Okay. Yeah. And this question is for you. Do you all still give out the resource booklet? I know at the library they used to have a large, I guess, had about 15 pages of all the listings of resources here in Cumberland County. So will he be utilizing, so he'll be giving those out as well?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. So we have we call it our Community Resources for Those in Need, or CRIFTON for short. And so it is a wonderful publication that staff spend a lot of time on going through and making sure we have information on where people can get food or housing or things they might need. And we're working on a digital version of that as well. So that is something that Ray will have to help with people with connecting.
Great, because I was wondering if that's in the front. I know it's a very resourceful, it's, full of, like you said, we can get food, shelter, phone numbers, addresses, and everything. So I hope you all continue to give that free booklet out. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Manager, that will take us to the 2023 audit results that we heard Thursday. So I know this is a shortened version. It was in City View. Everybody in Cumberland County has read it and seen it and said that we had an unmodified opinion, so we're good. Go ahead. You can still come. Mr. Manager.
Yes, Vicki Evans, Finance Director, and April Adams, partner with Cherry Becker, will present this item and answer any questions you have, and they will be concise.
Yeah, because we've seen all of those slides. We saw them last week. So I think it was like a couple of them that were important. The unmodified opinion and then to the end.
It's a shortened version,
Okay.
promise.
Well, good evening. It's good to see you guys again.
Good evening.
All right, so I am going to cover the results.
Can you do this? Because I thought Vicki was going to introduce you. Can you introduce your name and where you're from, Cherry Becker? I mean, I wasn't going to be that quick.
I'm so sorry. April Adams, partner with Cherry Becker. Cherry Becker is our audit firm, and she's going to be covering some slides about the results from our fiscal year 23 audit, and then I'll do a brief couple of slides about the general fund balance.
All right, thank you.
All right. So, yes, I'll be covering the results of the audit as well as some required communications with you. So we have completed the audit of the June 30th, 2023 financial statement audit. We did issue unmodified opinions on those financial statements, which is also known as a clean opinion. Highest level of assurance you can get from us as your external auditors that your financial statements are free from material misstatement. We also conducted with that financial statement audit what we call a single audit. This covers the federal and state dollars that the county administers. These I've listed here are the major programs. These are the programs that we dug into and tested at a very detailed level this year, but the county obviously receives lots more different programs that kind of goes on a rotational basis to a certain extent. The results of that single audit of testing all of those major programs, we did complete that audit at the same time. For June 30th, 2023, we issued unmodified opinions related to all of those federal and state opinions as well on that. We did have one non-material non-compliance finding related to eligibility related to the state foster care benefits program. There was proper eligibility determination. This was one participant out of 40 that we tested. The money was just being claimed from the wrong source, and that's being sorted out and fixed probably already at this point. Just to follow up on last year's findings, you had two findings related to ERAP. Both of those have been corrected for the current year, so we're moving on from that. Internal controls, we do a lot of internal control work as a part of our audit, but we don't include that in our opinion. So we don't opine on your internal controls. We do have to report certain things to you that might have come about as a result of that review of internal controls during the audit or during our testing. And so that comes down to two different types of findings that can come from that. One's a material weakness, which is really bad, and one is a significant deficiency that's not as bad. So we didn't have any material weaknesses. We did have one significant deficiency. That significant deficiency was related to your schedule of expenditures or federal and state awards. That it is handed to us in couple different times during the audit, a preliminary version and a final version. We noted in the preliminary version that there were some programs, or a program missing, as well as some other numbers that may not have been the best at the preliminary stage. And so we're just bringing forth that significant deficiency to fix it in the future to be a little more thorough with that preparation of that document before it's handed to us. Corrected and uncorrected misstatements, these are journal entries. If we had any identified as a result of our audit, we're required to report those to you. As you can see here, that we don't have any corrected or uncorrected, which means that the county's policies and procedures are properly capturing all of the financial activity of the county during the year. This slide, I'm going to cover a bunch of different topics. First would be, we're required to inform you of any significant changes in accounting policies. This typically happens when the county adopts a new accounting standard. This year, the county adopted GASB 96, which is related to your subscription, subscriptions for software. That's the word I was looking for. Software. And so a right of use of software as well as a liability for those agreements are now recorded on your financial statements. We don't have any related party transactions to report. We don't have any significant unusual transactions to report. You do have quite a bit of significant estimates within your financial statements. The biggest ones out there are related to your pension liabilities for your retirees as well as your other post-employment benefits, also known as OPEB. And so just be aware that those exist. And then lastly is the financial statement disclosures. We would highlight to you any that we felt were not consistent, neutral, or clear. And so we don't have any of those to identify for you. We feel like you could take the financial statements, read them if you chose, and be able to understand them pretty easily. As we are your external auditors, we are required to maintain our independence. And so I'm reporting to you that we have evaluated that up front before we got started, and then as well as any non-attest procedures that we may perform as an addition to your audit, we evaluate and make sure that we can still maintain our independence. A large part of that is for management to accept responsibility for the work that we did, and they have to have the skills, knowledge, and expertise to do that. We do feel like that is the case for these non-attest services that we've listed. Next two slides are other required communications. First, we would, if we had any difficulties with management or encountered during the audit or disagreements, we would report those to you. So no difficulties are encountered, no disagreements with management. We didn't consult with any other auditors on any matters during the audit. We do rely upon a management representation letter, which is a list of various things that management represented to us during the audit. And so we list those out and have management sign and agree that they represented certain things to us during the audit for us to rely upon as a part of our opinion. We're not aware that management consulted any other accountants for second opinions during the audit. We don't have any other findings or other issues to report to you. While our audit is not designed for fraud and illegal acts to look for those specifically, if we come across them in our testing, we would make you aware of those. So we don't have any fraud or illegal acts to report to you that we found during our audit. And then lastly, going concern, we are required to evaluate whether the county will be here a year from our report date, and we do feel like you guys will be here a year from now. In operation, at least I should say that.
I heard that, Mr. Keith. I heard that, Mr. Keith. That's all right, Mr. Keith.
So there are two, the Local Government Commission has put out some performance indicators for us to evaluate for all governmental units across the state. Unfortunately, there's two that showed up in their requirements to look for. One would be an audit submitted in a timely manner, and that would be 5 months from year end. You guys submitted 5 months and 7 days from the year end, and so also the significant deficiency related to the CFSA, or the schedule of awards that I referred to earlier. This only triggers a requirement for you as the board to issue a response on how you plan to correct those issues going forward. So I believe management's putting that together for you guys to sign and submit. I also just listed some other things that they look for that you guys
The good stuff.
check the box for, right? So you have a positive fund balance for general fund. You're meeting the threshold there. Your budgeted tax levy, you've got a collection rate of better than 97%. You've got your pre-audit process and didn't have any budget violations. You're paying your debt on time, and then that you didn't have any violations of statutes reported within your audit report. So overall good, just these two things to work on. All right, and that's all I have as far as questions.
Anyone have any questions or comments? All right, thank you, Ms. Evans.
Sure thing.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. And I know she has to get on the road, so that's fine.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
And thank you to April. Cherry Beckert is definitely a good team to work with. So for the listening public, we do have the fiscal year 23 annual comprehensive financial report posted to our website, cumberlandcountync.gov/finance. So because we did a fairly lengthy presentation of the results on Thursday, tonight is a very shortened version covering the general fund only. For reporting purposes, the general fund combines the general operating fund, the school capital fund, and the capital investment funds. From fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23, total fund balance increased by $50.2 million, resulting in ending fund balance of $330.6 million. Unassigned fund balance was 31.53% of fiscal year 2023 expenditures. The language of the fund balance transfer policy is shared on this slide. It reflects the changes made during fiscal year 2023, and that the changes were to allow adjustments for the current year general fund balance, reappropriations, or other allocations of general fund balance previously approved by the Board of Commissioners to be set aside. The calculation based on that policy is shown here with the following recommendation. The board is requested to approve Budget Ordinance Amendment Number B240031, which transfers $34,600,564 in fund balance from the general fund to the capital investment fund. And that is the action that we are requesting this evening of the board.
Any questions or comments? If not, I will take a motion to approve Budget Ordinance Amendment B240331, which transfers $34,600,564 in fund balance from the general fund to the capital investment fund in accordance with the financial policies, Section 4.4.3.
That's my motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
All right. Thank you so
Okay,
very much.
thank you.
That will take us to the consent agenda. Anybody have anything to pull off the consent agenda? Mr. Manager, anything?
Nothing.
I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
All right. That will take us to our public hearings. Call on the county manager to explain the procedures for public hearing.
Yes, the public hearing procedures are as follows. Arguments by the
I
proponents.
think they're going to put it up, too. They called me slow. There it is.
The abridged version, arguments by the proponents and opponents should be limited to a maximum of 10 minutes for each side. If there's no group representative, each speaker shall be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes until the 10-minute time limit is attained. Rebuttals will only be permitted at the discretion of the chairman with a maximum of 1 3-minute presentation by each side.
I like the Greer amended. I like your amended version.
Then our first public hearing is consideration of a text amendment to expand the jurisdiction of the minimum housing and non-residential building code.
Rick Moorfield, County Attorney, will present this item.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, this is a matter that the board took action November 20th at the last meeting to go ahead and set the public hearing. This is a kind of ordinance that requires a public hearing. Not all of them do, but this is one that does. And the board has already considered the language of the proposed amendment and has voted in favor of that at the agenda session. So you just have to go through the
Madam Clerk, is there, I'm going to open the public hearing. Are there any speakers for the public hearing?
No speakers.
I will close the public hearing and take a motion that the board adopt the text amendment, which is, you got the whole text amendment be here ordained by the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. The Chapter 4, Article 4, Division 3, Enforcement of the Cumberland County Code is amended by adding a new section 4-87.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
All right, that is unanimous. That will take us to our rezoning cases. Mr. Manager, first case, 230026.
Yes, it's a rezoning from rural residential district to commercial 1 planned local business district. Ross Howard, Planning and Inspections Director, will present this item in the next couple of rezoning requests and answer any questions that you may have.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Stated by the manager, the first case that we have for you this evening is case ZON 23-0026. You can see by the highlighted star, this sits in more or less the east central portion of Cumberland County, just off of 24, heading out towards Maxwell Road. As a matter of fact, this case does sit on Maxwell Road. So the applicant owner is Mr. William McPhail. The request is to go from RR, rural residential, to C1P planned local business. The intent is to expand upon an existing mini storage site. If you guys recall, as a board, I think you approved this case back in 2021. So the applicant has acquired a little sliver of property right beside his existing business and just wants to be able to move a little bit more in that direction. So it's just a little bit under a quarter of an acre of property. This is the subject property. As you can see, as I said before, this is Maxwell Road. You can see, I have a clicker here, but so like you can see, Maxwell Road, the site is highlighted in red, but generally pretty much around that is a mix of just single family and manufactured homes. This is the zoning map. The color differentiation should be able to highlight a little bit more, but you can see the sliver. It's just a real skinny piece right next to the existing C1P. There's no water or sewer out here. There's no hydric or hydric inclusion soils for the property. For the Stedman land use plan, they call this for rural residential. When the board chose to change the previous site, we did change that per state statute to make it commercial. If you vote in the affirmative tonight, it will just make that red as well too. It'll make that commercial as well too. So, but for the purposes of this discussion, it was not compliant with the plan, but we already put that in the motion in case you want to be able to approve it. This is the subject property. As you can see by the photo, the existing business is off to the right.
Our rural residential district to C1 plan, local business district, and find that 1, approval is amended to the adapted current Stedman area land use plan, and that the Board of Commissioners should not require any additional request or application for amendment to said map for this request. Number 2, the request would expand an exceeding commercial site and does not represent a substantial increase or impact to nearby residential areas. Number 3, the use of the parcel for a standalone use would be limited due to the parcel's unique size and configuration. This request is reasonable and is in the public interest and is compatible and is also in harmony with the surrounding land use activities and zoning.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
That will take us to case 23-0027.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, this is case ZON 23-0027. You can see where this is located in the Grace Creek area. This is off of Elliott Bridge Road. As you can see, just off of Highway 87.
Wait a minute, Elliott Bridge. Can't be Elliott Bridge.
I'm sorry.
Elliott Bridge is up on the other end.
I'm sorry. How about if I get here? Butler Nursery Road.
Yeah, Butler
That's what I was
Nursery
trying to be able to say. I get them confused. I got them confused. I was just trying to see if you're on your toes, right?
You were testing it. We caught it.
Sorry. So the applicant is Calvin Todd Wilkerson. The request is to go from R40 residential to R40A. The intent is to place a manufactured home for an acreage of about 1.12 acres. You can see highlighted on the map up on the screen. Surrounding the area, for the most part, in the immediate area, is largely vacant. There's some wooded and agricultural properties, but there is some presence of manufactured homes and single-family residential in the area. The site is already zoned R40, so the intent of the applicant is just to simply go to R40A, which is the only difference is just simply the ability to put a mobile home, or a manufactured home, I should say, on the site. For the most part, there's no hydric soils or hydric inclusion soils. This does sit in the Grace Creek Water and Sewer District, where there are no water and sewer lines that are available on the site itself or on Nash Road. The South Central plan is the plan that would be applicable to this area. Staff had looked at that and looked at what the request was in reference to the goals and objectives and these statements that are in that plan, and staff found that the request was consistent with the land use plan as A1, A1A, CD, R40, and R40A would be deemed to be compatible districts for that land use designation. This is the subject property. You can see pretty much vacant. This is the west view looking on Nash Road. Again, you can probably see the little dot. We did put the sign out there for public notification purposes. This is the north view looking immediately across the road. Pretty much an agricultural field, and this is the east view with the site immediately on the right-hand side. So again, staff does recommend approval of the request. When we took this to the planning board meeting last month, they supported it by a 7-0 vote. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? If not, I'll open the public hearing. Are there any speakers, Madam Clerk?
No speakers.
I will close the public hearing if I can get a motion.
In case it's
I got Commissioner Fairclough this go around. Thank you,
Thank
Commissioner
you, Mr.
Jones.
Chair. In case ZON 23-0027, I move to approve the rezoning request from R40 Residential District to R40A Residential District and find the request is consistent with South Central Land Use Plan, which calls for farmland at this location. The request is reasonable and in the public interest as it is compatible to and in harmony with the surrounding land use activities and zoning.
If I can get a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
All right. That will take us to case 230028.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is the final case that we have for this evening. Again, ZON 230028. Pretty much in the same general area as you can see highlighted with the star along Highway 87. The applicant is Sylvester and Hattie McCoy. The agent is Vonetta Davis. The request is to go from A1 agricultural to R40A residential. The intent is to put a secondary mobile home on the property. You can see where this is. This is off Grays Creek Church Road that goes up further and eventually ties back into 87. So and then you have an acreage of just under 2.75. This is the subject property highlighted in red. You can see pretty much surrounding it are other types of manufactured homes as highlighted by the crosshatch. There's a church just up the road. The zoning map you can see pretty much is A1, but the presence of RR and R40 is pretty much growing in the area. You can see it by the colored zoning that's there. So the site itself sits in the Grays Creek Water and Sewer District. There are no water and sewer lines, but there are also no hydric or hydric inclusion soils located on the property either. Again, like the past case, this is in the South Central Plan, which calls for farmland. So again, you can read the policy applications that are there, but the associated districts are A1, A1A, R40, and R40A. So staff felt that the request was compliant with the land use plan. This is the subject property. So essentially, the land that would be put behind this would be where the home would go would be behind this house. This is looking on the north view on Grays Creek Church Road with the site immediately on the left-hand side with the zoning sign, of course, out in the front yard. East view, looking across the street, pretty much wooded, and then looking on the south view, you can see the site immediately on the right-hand side. So staff had recommended approval of the request. When we took this to the planning board last month, they supported that by 7-0. So if you have any questions.
Any questions? If not, I'll open the public hearing. Are there any speakers, Madam Clerk?
There are no speakers.
I will close the public hearing, and Commissioner Jones, if I could get a motion.
I motion in case zone 230028 to approve the rezoning request from A1 Agricultural District to R40A Residential District, and I find that this request is consistent with the South Central Land Use Plan, which calls for farmland at this location. The request is reasonable in the public interest, and it is compatible to and in harmony with the surrounding land use activities and zoning.
If I can get a second.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you so very much.
Happy holidays.
Have a great holiday. There are no items of business. That will take us to nominations, the Mid-Carolina Agent Advisory Council. There's one vacancy.
Is he going up? Oh, Mr. Chairman, the council recommends
Wilbert.
I don't have my glasses.
J. Strike. He's up for reappointment, so that would, Strike, Stritt. That will take us to the Civic Center Commission. One is the for the restaurant. It has to be a restaurant owner.
The Civic Center Committee,
Nathan Cuffey.
yes.
Anyone else for the restaurant?
Uh-huh.
And Mr. Edge submitted his resignation on 12/4/2023. He said he had some other things that we're calling his attention to, so we'd ask a nomination for that.
Was it running out, or is this an unexpired term?
This is the rest of his term expires in 2025. This is, we're not doing anything on that. And that looks like Rakib Barnett as the nominee. Any other nominees? If not, I'll take a motion to go in closed session pursuant to NCGS 143, 318, 11A6.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
All right, we'll go into closed session briefly.